right, so once you go live, I'll just set it off. Well, I'll set it off. All right.
Where's my Jane? Love it when she call my name. Put in work, my stroking game. I'm going to the Hall of Fame. I'm Conzen, where's my Jane? Love it when she call my name. Put in work, my stroking game. I'm going to the Hall of Fame. Sex. She turned her boyfriend to ex. He mad she won't even text. She on the way to my rest, you know it's next. Face down, ass up, that's the way we like to. Booty big, so she stacking up. All applause, so she clapping up. Bottles pop, sparkings out, taking shots. Vibe is up, it never stops. Now let me see your body rock. You healthy, girl. Pockets full, cause I'm wealthy, girl. Low key, I tend to stay stealthy, girl. You making it hot, like you trying to melt me, girl. We lock eyes face to face. Think it's time we leave this place. Like a pimp, I never chase. Now play this song, turn up the bass. I'm Conzen, where's my Jane? Love it when she call my name. Put in work, my stroking game. I'm going to the Hall of Fame. I'm Conzen, where's my Jane? Love it when she call my name. Put in work, my stroking game. I'm going to the Hall of Fame. Sex. She turned her boyfriend to ex. He mad she won't even text. She on the way to my...
Yes. VIGGA Radio is live. We are here. What you just heard is Conzen and Jane off my album, The Wrath of Con, that you can get exclusively from my website, SeanConn00.com. VIGGA Radio is live. Kindgenius is in the building.
Yeah. I'm trying to get your camera set up. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, we fine. The camera's on. We live. And today I have a very, very special guest, award-winning director. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jon Fordham.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very honored to be here, Sean. And I got to give a big shout out to Elus, the Kindgenius.
What's up, John? We fan.
If it were not for him, I would not be sitting here today with you two.
Love, brother. You already know.
No, exactly. Definitely there's history there. And it's funny because around the time I met you in 2005, Elus, when I was at Baruch College Radio getting interviewed for my album, The One, which is a mysterious album because it was never really put out. Me and Rich Moore did it, put out 100 copies, and it happened to spread around. And so I met Elus, and when I met Elus, I saw a video called Hip Hop is Dead. And you directed that video.
I did. It was a very interesting chain of events that led me to meet Elus. A very good friend of mine and yours that you've met, Adrian Richards, if you're out there and listening, much love to you, my friend. Adrian Richards, also known as Hollywood A. He was working with me on a lot of film and music videos, and he said, "Hey man, you got to hear this. This is my friend Elus. Check it out." And he gave me the CD, and it just so happened to coincide with me getting asked to shoot something with a new format called HDV. It was a small format, high definition tape format. And I was like, this is fantastic. I can do a music video with this. So I got in touch with Elus, and he's like, yeah, sure, whatever you want to do. And sorry. And everything just kind of went from there. It came together so quickly and so easily, and it went over so well when it was finally shown publicly at the HD Film Festival in 2005. And it was bigger than I expected. Like, I knew the music was good, and I knew that the format was good, and I had confidence in what I was doing. But actually seeing it with an audience and actually seeing their reaction, like, everything kind of clicked. It was fantastic.
Oh no, the video is absolutely amazing. This is, that was actually my first visual of seeing Elus in his element, because when he called the radio station, he actually called the station while I was getting interviewed, and he actually, oh wow, you know what, I didn't realize that's okay. But he called the station, and his manager at the time said, "Hey, I need you to work with my artist. He wants to do a song with you." Elus called me up and was bigging me up.
Yes, I was on Baruch College Radio, WBNB. Shout out WBNB staff. I actually spoke to two staff members earlier today. I posted the Hip Hop Dad video. You feel what I'm saying? We shot that video. I was actually in Baruch. So it was like, it brings that together too.
Okay.
That's 2005.
2005. Now, that was 2005. But my question to you is, when and how did you get into filming videos, film in general? Like, what was your first memory of saying, you know what, this is something that I want to do?
That goes all the way back to before I can remember. In fact, I have a picture of me at 4 years old with a camera. Honestly, I don't have a memory in any way, shape, or form from a time where film was not what I wanted to do. I grew up wanting to make movies. That was my entire purpose, my entire focus. And so I have gone through many phases of what I wanted to do in terms of in front of the camera, behind the camera. And I found as I grew up that what I really gravitated towards was behind the scenes. When you're a kid watching movies, the actors are what you see. You don't think about, as a child, everything else that goes on behind the scenes to make that happen. And so as a kid, I was like, I want to be an actor. This would be great. And then as I got older, I'm like, I'm not really a good actor. I did drama in high school and Frsh classes, all that kind of stuff. And it was a lot of fun and I enjoyed it. But I also realized, wow, there are classmates and colleagues of mine who are really good at this, and I am not. And I'm far more interested in what's going on behind the scenes. And in high school, I had the opportunity our drama teacher was also the production class teacher. So he was able to steer me towards, hey, if you really like camera and behind the scenes and crafting the story, you should move in this direction. And I'm just going to throw a shout out to Thomas F. Scahill. If you ever happen to see or hear this, thank you very much for your guidance. I appreciate it. We'll always remember you. And if one day I'm lucky enough to win an Oscar, you will be in the speech.
Definitely. You're on your way for that.
But yeah, so as I got older and eventually moved into actually doing production, I knew that two things happened. One, I saw a film called Pi that was directed by Darren Aronofsky and shot by Matthew Libatique. And in 1998, I believe is when I saw that, it blew my mind. Not only as a film, but it showed me, wow, it doesn't have to look perfect. It only has to look appropriate to the story. And that was like a whole new world to me of like, it doesn't have to be clean and pristine. It just has to serve the story. And so that opened up my apprehension of trying to do something and being kind of freeing me to be like, I can do anything as long as it works for what I'm shooting. At that time, as I started following Matthew Libatique's career, I noticed that he went from shooting Pi with Darren Aronofsky to doing a ton of music videos. And I was a big fan of his music videos. And watching those music videos, I started thinking, wait a minute, these are the perfect thing for a cinematographer coming up in the world. Like, they need to like do something fast, creatively, visually creative, and get them out quick, and they're like short. People don't have to like watch an hour of MTV to see something. They can like turn it on, bam, there's your video, and suddenly you've just been opened up to this whole audience that you probably weren't exposed to before. Mm-hmm. So when I moved to New York in 2002, I was still doing a lot of independent film, just shooting anything and everything I could, but I went out of my way to pursue music videos. And it took a long time. It took many, many years, and it took a lot of handshakes and parties and contacts to get there. But I eventually got to the point where I met the people who were in a position to give me the shot of shooting real music videos.
And speaking of real music videos, there are quite a few amazing videos that you have shot. Even even so, videos and like commercial, like I seen a Reebok commercial with my favorite, well, the rapper who inspired me to rap, which is Redman. Shout out to Redman. Shout out to Shaquille O'Neal, because it was Shaquille O'Neal for his Reebok. You know, he had his Shaq sneakers, you know, and Redman. So me seeing that visual with Redman, the person that inspired me to rap, with Shaq, you know, one of the all-time greatest basketball players in history, was amazing. And visually, it was very stunning. So tell me a little bit about how that happened.
So so I one of the natural progressions for any filmmaker, regardless of the position you're doing, is kind of that music videos to commercials to TV or film. And so I was once I established myself in the music video world, it was like, okay, now the next step that I need to conquer is doing commercials, because that's where you meet the fast turnaround time and short runtime of music videos with serious budgets and a nationwide audience, because now they don't have to tune into MTV or Fuse or anything like that. Now they're watching ABC, CBS, NBC, and that commercial's right there. So I went on a journey to pursue those, and there was a producer and filmmaker named Sway Mendez who had worked for me as a grip, is when I first met him, and he was an amazing guy. But he's one of those guys that, like, he wasn't satisfied with being a grip. He's like, I'm starting here, but I'm working my way up. And by the time, just in a few years' time of me doing real music videos and meeting Sway, he had jumped ahead of everyone and gotten to the point of producing. And he was producing the Reebok spot for a director called Dre, who I haven't talked to in many, many years, but Dre was fantastic. And Dre said, "Who's the hot young guy?" And Sway said, "No, you need a veteran." And so Sway is wholly responsible for me getting that Reebok spot, and I thank him to this day. But yeah, that spot was in some ways a nightmare of schedules. There was so much happening, and it all happened in an 8-hour period of one day. So to travel from New York to Newark and all around Newark to get people together and to get Shaq there and like ready to roll, and like, I mean, he's a busy guy. He's got multiple deals. He's got a lot going on. So for him to be there at all is already a miracle. But he went out of his way to be extraordinarily kind, very friendly, a lot of fun, and we just kind of like shot a lot of stuff. And at the end of the day, honestly, when we finished that, I was like, I don't know if we've got a spot or not. But I trusted the director, I trusted Sway, the producer, and I trusted that what we got would work, and ultimately it did. And I was very, very honored to have been a part of that one.
Oh, no, definitely. And shout out to Shaquille O'Neal, because like you said, very kind person, very real person. There's so many things that he does off the camera, not, trying to do it for clout, as they say. When people do things for others and they want to record it, Shaquille O'Neal does things for many people just out of love. And speaking of out of love, I got to shout him out, because Shaquille O'Neal actually put my record with my daughter Olivia that I had on my album, The Man with the Golden Mic, song called How You Really Rock. He actually put it on Shaq Fu Radio. So gotta shout him out. I hit him up when he on the Shaq Fu Radio Instagram, which he at the time, before that Instagram was so big, it's huge now. This was like 2017, around that time. And it was actually Shaq, controlling the Instagram, gave me his email and told me to send the stuff. And then he even followed up with his program director at the station, said, "You got to put this on." So to this day, I still have Shaq's email, and I appreciate the fact that he actually put me in rotation on the station.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so you got to big up Shaquille O'Neal.
Absolutely. And, I just, one quick side note, I will tell you this. I've shaken a lot of hands in my life. I will never forget shaking that man's hand, because that's a big hand. I was like, wow.
He's a giant,
Yeah.
Never met him in person, but one person that I did see one time at, actually, when Jay-Z's 40/40 Club first opened up. Never forget it. You know, I just happened to be at there's what was it? There was a studio right across the street from there, and they told me, hey, you know, they do the 40/40 grand opening. So I'm talking about every star you could think of. I seen Magic Johnson walk up, and I'm like, oh man, that's Magic Johnson. Then I see Free from 106 in Park, and I'm like, oh man, I love Free. Like, I really love Free. You know, I'm seeing Free, and I'm like, wow. But then I thought I saw an alien because this person was so huge. Matumbo.
Oh yeah.
I saw Matumbo, and I've never seen a 7-foot person. He's like 7'1", you know, or so, maybe taller. I just Matumbo might be more than 7'1", but I think he's about 7'1", you know, something like maybe 7'2". But anyway, I was just blown away because I've never seen a person that tall, and that's when I really said, okay, wow, and up that close, you know. So I'm like, wow, these basketball players are almost inhuman. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they're just giants. So to be so graceful and do what they do, I really think they are the most superior athletes in the world.
Yeah.
To be that size and do what they do, you know. So now, okay, music videos, and you shot a lot of. I've seen your reel, I've seen your visuals, incredible music videos. I've seen the commercial. Talk a little bit about the film industry.
So, going back to what I was saying earlier, it's something I've always wanted to do, and that evolution of finding my footing in the film industry. The film industry. Well, first of all, let me back up. Let me just say that I did everything wrong. When I got into the film industry, I literally was so enamored with film, and technology in the late 90s was starting to reach a point of digital was a thing, that you didn't have to worry about quality loss, that you had the tools to actually capture an image and cut it together and get it out to the public so pristine and representative of what you actually want to do. And so in 2000, at the age of 24, I had worked 3 jobs, saved up, I think, like $5,000 or $6,000 from the multiple jobs, and I up and quit my job. And it's like, I'm going to go make movies. And at the time, I was working for a family business, and my dad was like, that sounds like a terrible idea. I was like, well, okay, but I was just like in this like mode. I'm like, I'm going to do it. And my dad did not criticize me. My dad was like, okay, go for it. And he may very well have said go for it, thinking like you take the shot and it doesn't work, or maybe he was like go for it and you're gonna like get it right. Regardless, my dad like maintained that love and it's like just go for it, and I did. And literally, it's like the worst possible kind of entry into film you could do. Just like, hey, I don't have a job. I'm gonna make movies. I got a camera. Woo.
Oh wow!
It was like, and like really not the level of experience that you need to get where you want to go. However, I worked my butt off. I put in the effort. I put in the time, and I sacrificed a lot. I won't get into all the things that I lost in that time, but I did sacrifice a lot to get to where I was, and then. That was in 2000. I had another massive life change where I was like, I'm going to move to New York. Again, super young, don't know anyone here, just up and move to New York. And I did it, and I'm very blessed and thankful that that worked out. My journey in film, since I've been in New York, what I've learned is that it's all about luck, and being prepared for luck and meeting the right people. I know a lot of incredibly skilled and talented filmmakers that have just never met the right people. They've just never been at the right party. They've just never been at the right situation, and they've missed out on opportunities. And I have looked at my career, my skill, my progress, and thought like, why am I in the position I am where, my friend Bob isn't, like I feel like he's better than me. He shot that one thing that I loved, and why isn't he here? So it's been a very weird journey. I will say that I've also learned a lot about the industry and how difficult it can be. When I was first like getting into music videos and started shooting major label videos, I got called from a fellow cinematographer, and he said, "Hey, I won't say the name. This director is doing a video, and I think you'd be perfect for it." He called me. I'm not available. I told him he should talk to you. So I called the number he gave me, and it was the director's agent. And the first thing I said, "Hey, I'm Jon Fordham. I was told you're doing a video." The first thing she said is, "Who's your agent?" And I was like, well, actually, I haven't signed with anyone. And she goes, "All right, cool, thank you." And like literally hung up on me.
Wow.
Damn.
And I was like, whoa, like that was a dose of reality of like, I thought I was kicking butt. And all of a sudden it was just like, got it, done. And so that went from like, oh yeah, I knew I needed an agent to, oh man, I got to get an agent now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that started a quest of like, I'm going to do every amazing music video I can. And I'm going to like contact every single agency I can. And I did. And I was lucky enough to get interest from many and ended up signing with one particular agent. However, many years later, I will say that I've now been through 4 different agents at 3 different agencies. And no disrespect to them or the agencies who I will not name, but it's been disappointing seeing what they do and don't do for you and how they can and cannot help you. One of the most frustrating things is I feel like a lot of agents will see someone who is on their way up, and whether or not they think they can push you to the next level, they will sometimes sign you just to keep anyone else from having you. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, oh, well, we're not really sure that we love you, but we sure don't want anyone else to have you. And so they will like grab you and sign you, and they may not promote you in the way that you thought they would. And that's disappointing. At the same time, I've also reached a point in my career where while I would appreciate having an agent, because I'm not represented, but while I would appreciate having a representative, I'm also very comfortable and confident in where I am with my work, that I know I can get work and maintain the level of income without an agent.
Exactly. And you know,
You sound like Conn.
Yeah. Oh no, that definitely. This is what I live by, because the equivalent of what you just spoke on is like an artist getting signed and getting shelved. You know, and it's like, okay, they won't release you. You may sign with the label. You have a project that's ready, just like you have incredible work and you know you can do it, but they don't put you out there. But then again, they don't want anyone else working with you. So what they do with artists is they'll shelf your project, put it on hold, take the budget away, things like that. This is why, one of the reasons why I've turned down a deal, just the idea of them, something I didn't agree with from the beginning, and it was a major deal with J Records. I actually did turn it down because of, you know, I wasn't comfortable with what they wanted to do with the situation. To me, Elus, and Frsh, TRIBORO being in a situation where underhanded things happened to us and people were turning deals down behind our back and not knowing, you know. So, and
you know, playing power of attorney, stuff like that, you know.
Things that, you know, we didn't even know about.
Without being sanctioned too.
I'm talking about the majors like Def Jam, Atlantic, Universal, $1 million deals being turned down behind our back. So I totally understand what you're talking about, and I feel your pain, because it's like there is an equivalent to that on the other side when it comes to being an artist and a creator. You know, we have the talent and the creativity. They have the power and, you know, the relationships. But I'm glad that you did build your relationships to the level that you can independently do what you want to do. Now, speaking of that, because speaking of independency, and you've been in film festivals and you've done work, 2 things I want to ask. One is, what was the either most fun or your favorite video to shoot? And then second part of that question is, what was your most challenging film to work on?
Fantastic question. My favorite thing that I've done is probably the Jigsaw Soul video that my very good friend Christopher Piazza directed. Chris and I met many, many years earlier, and he was also a fellow camera operator and union camera guy. And we met on just the most random travel series job that I was doing. I flew into Prague for a show that I was doing for the Fine Living channel, and he was already on the show, and I was just like replacing the cinematographer was already there. And he and I just clicked, and he was like, yeah, you know, I actually do live visuals and video mixing for a band. And so he started sending me the work, and he reached a point, he was like, I'm ready to start directing, and I want you to shoot it. And so he put a lot of his own time and money into it, and we rounded up in a fantastic crew. And that music video, not only did I not fully appreciate how impactful it would be to the audience, but it was a lot of fun to do. And I finally felt in working with Chris that I had a director who understood my job, who understood what I had to do and the challenges that were ahead of me, but also respected, hey man, this is going to be difficult, and so like, you know, let's work together to make it happen. And so for that reason, a lot of thanks to Christopher Piazza, and the Jigsaw Soul video is absolutely easily my favorite thing I've ever done. Okay. As far as the most challenging thing I've ever done, that's an interesting question, and not sure I have a definitive answer on that. There was a transition period between doing a lot of low budget, no budget independent film and trying to like make my name in music videos, where there started to be crossover, where I started to like make a name in music videos and started to like get feature films that were still not huge things, but had a little bit of money. And it was always a challenge of speed. You know, you look at a studio film and it takes 6 months, 8 months, a year. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason those movies take that long, because they have the time and money to shoot 3 lines a day. They have the time and money to shoot half a page. You know, when you have a feature film script and you have that time and luxury to shoot a little bit, to make every little thing perfect, that's fantastic. And that's why major films look the way they do. When you get into the world of indie film and it's like, we got 100 pages and 18 days. Like, whoa, okay, wait a minute. Let's break that down. How many pages do we have to get done? How many locations do we have to go? We got to go from the apartment to the coffee store to the bodega, to all these different places, and we got to do it all in one day, and I got to get 10 pages a day. Suddenly, it turns into a race where the most challenging thing I've had in my career in that world of film is balancing, trying to make it look right, trying to make it serve the story, and yet being mindful of the schedule and being able to make our day and not go into overtime, which costs extra money. Let's say you have to like put everybody on overtime, time and a half, double time. And so it's always a balance of working with the AD, working with the director, and working with my crew to say, hey man, this is what we need to get. And this looks good. I know it's not perfect, but you know what? It works and it serves the story. Let's keep going. Let's keep moving forward. So I would say in my journey of film, the thing that has been the most challenging has been balancing budget and schedule with getting it to look just right.
Okay. Good. Like that answer. That was very, very detailed, and it made the people listening understand where you're coming from. Now, let's just say you have a visual gift of creativity. Visual gift, right? My question to you now is, from being young till now, music, what kind of music were you exposed to as a youth? What did you like to listen to, and what do you listen to now?
Fantastic question, and it's a great segue in terms of what we've been talking about. one of my earliest memories as a child, there's a picture of me around 4, the same time I had the camera in my hand, where I have a pair of glasses. It's probably a pair of sunglasses, but there's no lenses in it. I'm not wearing it. And I was pretending to be Elton John.
Oh, wow.
Because, you know, Elton John is a huge star, and he was blowing up in the 70s and continued to through the 80s. And as a kid, I was just like, this is fantastic. My parents were very much into, you know, my dad listened to everything from the Beatles and Hendrix and Bob Dylan to pop music. My mom was really into pop music of the day. And so I have a very clear memory of being very into pop music, particularly Elton John. And the reason I bring up Elton John is even now, one of my favorite films that's come out in the last few years is Rocket
Man.
Taron Egerton did a fantastic job. It's one of the best films I've seen in a long time. And as opposed to La La Land, and I won't get too harsh into my opinion on La La Land, but Rocket Band is everything that a modern movie musical can and should be. And I know that there's a little bit of bias there in terms of like it's easy to love Elton John and the music and to like, you know, click with it. But man, they got it right. And it was a fantastic film. However, yeah, growing up, you know, my parents listened to a lot of popular music. My dad also in the 80s got very into Jimmy Buffett. So I was exposed to a little bit more of a laid back thing. At the time, we were also living in Florida. So it kind of like worked and kind of went hand in hand. As I grew up, you know, I'm Gen X and the 90s came in hard. They came in strong and music changed. And I went from listening to the Lightning Seeds and Bobby Brown and Slick Rick to all of a sudden I'm listening to Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins and the Posies and such an eclectic mix of rock and this whole new feel of music. And that transition by mid to late 90s into, as I grew up and got into different circles, that grew into like an appreciation for electronic music. I really got into Underworld and Prodigy and Orbital, and that was like just a whole new level. So I've had this like wide variety of music exposure and enjoyment. As far as what I listen to now, I listen to a lot of music that I listened to when I was younger. And I've been listening to a lot of Sirius XM stations and their collaboration with Pandora. There are a couple channels. There's like a Classic Chill channel and like the Eels channel. And like there's also a Morrissey channel, which is hilarious because I love the Smiths and I love Morrissey. And Morrissey does not get along with Robert Smith of The Cure, and they sometimes play a lot of Cure. So wow. that's been almost comical, but very enjoyable. It's been interesting though because I went through a phase when I like went hard into music videos and first like started like blowing up in the music video world, where I knew everything that was modern and current and what was going on. And since I've kind of drifted more towards commercials and kind of like split my time, I'm not as engaged or aware of what's current in music. You know, and unfortunately, as much as I would like to do that and be that current, it's difficult to put in the time and maintain that level of engagement with current music.
No, that's true. And I can relate with you 100%, because being so busy, doing so much, and especially like how you say you don't have an agent, I don't have a manager. So I do a lot of managerial things. So it takes up so much time that it takes away from the leisure time that you would have to do these things. Yeah. I'm the same way. I listen, I love the Bee Gees, Michael McDonald, you know, there's a lot of artists that I listen to or music that's from the past the same way, you know. Only time that I hear current music really more so is when I'm driving in the car with my daughter and she wants to change the station from what I'm listening to what she wants to listen to. Yeah. And then I say, well, who's that? Like, and I catch myself saying, wow, I'm a hip hop artist, and I'm asking, who are these people? I have no idea, but that let me know this is the next generation, and this is what they're listening to. You know what I mean? So music always switches up, and the culture changes with the age group.
Absolutely.
You know, okay, now let me ask you this. Outside of you directing and working in the film world, what are some of your favorite films? I know Rocket Man, of course, we just spoke on. And speaking of Elton John, real quick, his new song is really nice. I don't know if you heard it. I just happened to hear it, and it's so modern, and he's right in the pocket with everything, and the girl that's singing on it. I heard it like 3 days ago, and I was like, wow, Elton John's new song is hot, you know? Yeah. It is. It really is. Yeah, but getting back to the question, what are your favorite films?
So, you know, I'm sure that many people, either in or out of the music industry or film industry, will have a single thing. This is the one that I love. As a filmmaker and being enamored with film from a young age, it's very difficult to put my finger on one particular thing. However, I can tell you there are many films that have made an impression on me that I'll throw out. I remember at a very young age watching Singing in the Rain. Gene Kelly, Debbie Reynolds. It is not only a phenomenal example of the MGM and Golden Era Hollywood film musicals, but it is also, watching it now, where I am today in my career, fascinating to see that anything and everything that I do now, man, they did it in 1952. Mm-hmm. And seeing the way they move the camera and the way the shots move and the way that everything happens. And again, you know, now we've got tiny cameras to do amazing image quality. Then they had massive cameras, and it took 3 people moving this thing to actually get it around. And then you see like Gene Kelly dancing and doing circles. They're coming down this big, you know, giant swooping crane shot. And it's like, wow, they did that at a time that was not easy to do. And so it's kind of like, you know, I look at anything today and measure it against something like that and be like, wow, is there any excuse I can find to say I can't do this? If they did it then, I got to be able to do it now. So I grew up watching those classic Hollywood films. I also grew up watching a lot of silent films. Huge fan of Charlie Chaplin.
Oh yeah, it's great.
His film, The Kid, which is his first feature in 1920, I believe, maybe 1921, is one of the most emotional, impactful films I have ever seen. It is absolutely heartwarming and gut-wrenching and amazing, and all without talking. You know, and that was like one of the things that I find really fascinating is like, while dialogue and writing is very important and you can recognize when it's like top notch, to be able to go back and look at someone and like, we didn't have the luxury of them talking. We just had to tell a story without that. And that it kind of elevates everything those artists did at that time to a whole other level that it's very difficult, if not impossible, to replicate now. In terms of modern films, there's a very interesting dichotomy in terms of talking about music and my generation. Being Gen X, many people will cite Singles as like the perfect Gen X film at a time when I think it was like 91 or 92. For me, at my age of Gen X, I felt Reality Bites kind of captured what we were at that time. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing is, that was 93. I feel that David Fincher's Fight Club in 1999 kind of closed out the decade with that same real representation of our generation in a very different place. And it was fascinating because I didn't think about it when I first saw these movies, but looking back, you know, all these years later, it's like, wow, you know, we started off in this place that was hopeful and happy and sunny, but we recognized things were a little off, but we were like, we're okay. And then by the time you get to Fight Club in 1999, there's a fantastic speech that Brad Pitt gives. And he says, you know, we're the middle children of history. We have no great war, no great depression. Our great war is a spiritual war. Our great depression is our lives. That was like, whoa, that's deep and dark and somewhat unsettling. And yet at the same time, in 1999, for Gen X at that age, it was like, wow, yeah.
Yeah, we can relate, you know. Not Fight Club, incredible film, you know, incredible film. let me ask you this now as well, because looking into the future for you, what are some of the things that you are in development with, working with, or inspiring to do for the future?
Well, I have plenty of ideas and plenty of things, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it out here, whether you're ready or not. So right now, everybody, ladies and gentlemen out there listening, watching, I am in development of a short film project, and Sean Conn and I are working on a video trilogy to go along with The Wrath of Khan. We are going to put an actual film together for multiple videos and tell a story for the album, and that's just the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am very honored to be part of this situation. So please continue.
Very, very honored to be doing the music video trilogy with you. Again, we've known each other for a long time. Elus and I have done videos together. But for you and I to actually have the opportunity to come together and do some music videos is fantastic. And again, it's in our wheelhouse. However, I'm very excited that I have been able to almost randomly inherit a script that I'm very excited about. And when I read it, I'm like, I know exactly who I want to be in this. You, Sean, and our friend Jordan. Jordan Bell. Jordan. Yeah, I was like, Sean Conn and Jordan Bell. These are the guys, and I'm very appreciative that you responded to it and you liked the script, and so I'm very excited to actually get on set and make that happen. I know it's been months since we were working on it, but that's the nature of doing a personal project, of just slowly building it, and getting it ready to go.
And that's perfectly fine. It's part of the process. I appreciate the process and the journey. I want to thank you for even thinking of me for the film, because this is me breaking barriers of something many years I've always wanted to do. I've always said, even Elus can say, I've always said, I want to be in film. I want to be an action star or something. I just knew that eventually I would work my way into it. So it's an honor for you to set me off into the film world. So I thank you on that.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I'm very happy to have you involved. And it's interesting, especially if you look at the world of comics. A lot of people come up doing stand-up, and then they get a break at maybe a sitcom or a comedy. However, there is longevity to acting, because anyone who is competent, qualified, and gifted and skilled at it, you can turn that into a career that lasts. And not to say that a comedian or a music artist doesn't have the ability to go long term. Like we were saying, Elton John's new song is fantastic. However, it's also sometimes difficult to reach a certain generation in a certain medium. However, in my opinion, film has a much broader universal feel and appeal that anyone, regardless of where you started, if you get the shot to do it and you can pull it off and you're good at it, man, that can open up a whole new level of opportunities and a whole new horizon of people you can meet and things you can accomplish.
No, that's definitely true. And so definitely, as we close out on VIGGA Radio, what I do want to do, first of all, I want to thank you for being my guest on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That's definitely, let's give him a round of applause, definitely. And we're gonna let the horns blow, all that, everything going off. Shout out to the Kindgenius Elus, who's in the building. Who, if it wasn't for Elus, we wouldn't be here right now.
Absolutely. I mean, literally.
I say it like that, but that's cool. That's what's up.
No, it's like for real. Like the Kindgenius is the reason that we're all sitting here together.
That's love.
Definitely.
And I'm gonna throw out. I know we're trying to close, but that music video we did, not only was it something interesting for both of us and on the film festival circuit, but it also is the reason I got my first shot at a major label video.
That's
the director that I knew saw it. It was like, whoa.
That's fire. That's
so
fire.
That is actually the reason
if
I
it
got
wasn't
that.
for Elus,
There you go.
A lot of
that's real talk.
Seriously.
Shout out to the Kindgenius, Now, what I want you to do is I do want to let you tell the people where they can find you, how they can follow you and your journey. You know, give me your social media handles or anything that you want to let the people know there.
Sure. Thank you. I can be found on Instagram at Jon Fordham. That's JONFORDHAM. I can also be found at United Digital Films. That's United Digital Films. And my website is johnfordham.com. I would love to have more followers. My social media game is not as strong as others, but very grateful for anyone that's out there.
Yo,
Make
John,
sure you
holla
follow.
at me, man. I got some tricks and tactics, man. I'll be putting Conn on the low.
There we go.
Word up. Yeah.
No,
It'll help. It'll
Listen,
help.
appreciate that.
I call Elus my technical advisor. As much as I know in the grind and things that I do, I reach out to Elus to figure out things. He's my technical advisor. You know, we work hand in hand with a lot of things, you know what I mean? But he definitely is the technical advisor. You know, one hand washes the other. It's like, you know, it's like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, or, you know, Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. You know, it's like that. So shout out to him. Shout out to you for being on the show.
Who's Dwayne Wade?
Well, think of it like this. I'm LeBron. And the reason I'm LeBron, real quick,
I'm Magic, though, right? With that comparison.
You can be Magic.
All right,
I'll
cool.
be Kareem with the
So
Sky
that's
Hawk.
cool.
We balance it out.
All right, that's cool.
Because
All right.
Magic was the point. He did
That's
whatever.
cool. That's cool. I
Now,
respect it.
Remember, actually, Dwayne Wade showed LeBron how to
No,
win.
he was fire. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I mean,
so don't
he's
get
not
it wrong. And he
LeBron.
was the first one to be a
Respectfully, he's
champion.
not LeBron. Respectfully.
Exactly. But
And no shade to Dwayne Wade.
listen, but Sean Conn and LeBron rhyme anyway. I mean, you know, and you know what I mean.
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm very humble, but I've been told some things. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
We're gonna just say that, but we're both champions, and that's, you know what I mean. That's the great part, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna close out with some more music from the Wrath of Conn. I think what I'm gonna give you guys is "Ooh Baby" featuring Marquis and Just Real, and also the stupid fat intro from my album, which features the legendary Ralph McDaniels. So let's get into
Ralph on your album. I'm jealous.
I got Ralph doing the intro to my album. I'm honored for that. But let's get into Ooh Baby, and then we'll get into that intro. VIGGA Radio, you know what it is. You know me, I'm on a mission.
Still drumming.
VIGGA Entertainment. What it is. Oh, hold up, let's take it to the top. Icon, get my grind on, being an icon. Pop bottles of dawn, the life of a dawn goes on, and the pipe game strong. All on your body like a mink in the winter. Your man's aight, but ain't no vigor.
Gangsta white linens with the Panama hat. Jumping off the plane, holla where the mommies at. I ain't one to brag, wallet in the booty fat. No cap like pancakes, I keep it a stack. Don't need no ocean to get me wet. Rub on you like lotion, all hands on deck. Ooh.
I touch you in the places that you like.